Hi, everyone. Welcome to the number theory unit. We're going to start with a lesson called Types of Numbers, where we can classify a number. Now, whenever we get to an example problem, pause the video, try out the example, and then see if you got the answers correct. So today, I'm able to classify a number using 6 different categories. In this entire space, this entire universe, every number in here is called a real number. We then have numbers split into rational numbers, integers, whole numbers, natural numbers, and then this own separate category called irrational numbers. So as we get closer in on the center, the number gets more specific. There's less possibilities for that number. So let's define a few of these. First off, a real number is a number that represents a distance on a number line. So almost all of the numbers you've dealt with in your high school career have been real numbers. They can be your fractions, your decimals, your positive numbers, your negative numbers, your whole numbers. As long as it doesn't contain that imaginary part, the I, then it's real. Then we move on to rational numbers. So rational numbers, for lack of a better term, are your normal numbers. A number that can be expressed as a fraction of two integers. So a fraction, improper fraction, or a proper fraction. Or it could be written as a decimal that repeats or terminates. So we could have 2.8 or 6.12 repeating or negative 6.12 repeating. We can have a fraction, we can have a whole number. Those all fall under the category of rational. Now, irrational are the other type of real numbers. So those are your non-repeating, non-terminating decimals. So pi, which is 3.1415926,535, keeps going on with no pattern. Or this random decimal I made up that has no pattern and just keeps going. So that the ellipses, the 3 dots, tell us it keeps going. Those are irrational. Now we also have integers, which are positive or negative whole numbers, which also includes 0. So if it's a whole number, positive, negative, or 0, it's an integer. Whole numbers, which are just the positive part of the integer spectrum. So starting at 0 and any whole number, any positive is a whole number. And then natural numbers, which are our counting numbers, and they start at 1. So the difference between natural numbers and whole numbers are that natural numbers contain 1. So we look at this. Natural numbers were obviously the most specific, have to be whole, have to be integers, have to be rational, can't have decimals, can't have fractions. And we go all the way out to rationals, which can be most of the numbers that we deal with on a daily basis. Now, this is our example. Let's see, we have the set of numbers, 0.2, negative 0.2, 0, 0.3 repeating, this giant decimal, pi, 6, 7, 41, and 51. So natural numbers were all of the positive whole numbers. So just the last 4 in the list. The whole numbers can include 0, so it's all of the natural numbers, but it also includes 0 now. The integers, if there were any negative whole numbers, they'd be included in this list, but there are no negatives besides negative 0.2, and that's a decimal. So integers in this case and whole numbers, it's the same set. Rational is anything that repeats or ends. So we're going to add negative 0.2, we're going to add 0, we're going to add 0.3 repeating. The irrational numbers are the ones that are our scary numbers. So the ones that not repeating, not ending, so pi and this giant decimal, and all of them are real because none of them have an imaginary part. They're all decimals or whole numbers or positive and negatives, and they all fit into the real category. So that's how we classify using these 6 categories for real numbers.